Welcome to Hustai National Park. This magnificent wild preserve is also known as Hustai Nuro National Park, which in Mongolian means Birch Mountains. Officially declared a specially protected area in 1993, Hustai National Park became home to the world's only extant wild horse in 1992. Called Przewalski's horse and known in Mongolia as the Tak or Taki, this animal is one of 7 living examples of wild equines, which are all members of the genus Equus and in the family Equidae. Other wild living examples of this family include 3 species of wild ass and 3 species of zebra, all occurring in Africa or Asia. Though not regarded as being truly wild, the domestic horse and the domestic donkey are, of course, also members of this family. The story of Hustai National Park is really the story of Przewalski's horse. Indeed, this unique animal, having gone extinct in the wild during the 1960s, was maintained in mostly European and some American zoos and private horse collections since the early 20th century. All living Przewalski's horses can be traced to some 12 wild captured examples, which were taken as foals in the early 20th century. In 1980, Przewalski's horses were obtained from zoos in Europe, the USA, and the Ukraine, and 6 total groups, including 5 breeding groups and 1 stallion-only group, were established in Europe, wishing to ensure the greatest level of genetic diversity possible within this species that had been so critically reduced in numbers. These breeding groups were comprised of individuals that would represent as much as possible the genetic diversity of the original 12 early 20th century wild captured Przewalski's horses. Some 64 Przewalski's horses resulted from this program, and from this population, individuals were selected for reintroduction into Mongolia in what is now Hustai National Park. Some 5 total such introductions occurred in Hustai from 1992 to 2002. As the aims of the breeding program were to re-establish wild Przewalski's horses in natural environments, the European breeding program was gradually shut down as the introductions to Hustai National Park and other areas began to meet with reproductive success. We can note that there are several other areas where Przewalski's horses have been reintroduced to the wild. These include Takhi Tal Nature Reserve, Kar-Us Nor National Park, and Komin Tal Reserve in Mongolia. In addition, a reserve in China near the Gobi Desert, as well as the Askania Nova Reserve in southern Russia and Hotobagi National Park in Hungary, are also home to wild Przewalski's horses. A population of Przewalski's horses also exists in the exclusion zone of Chernobyl, Ukraine. Of course, the ultimate objective of the European breeding program was to establish a wild breeding population of Przewalski's horses in Mongolia. A total of 84 horses, representing as broad a genetic base as possible, were thus reintroduced to the wilds through being placed in Hustai National Park. That this reintroduction program has proved successful is evidenced by the fact that the population of 84 Przewalski's horses brought to Hustai National Park from 1992 to 2002 has increased to a total of 340 plus Przewalski's horses as of 2017. We certainly should wonder as to just why Przewalski's horses went extinct in the wild in the first place. This is attributable to several factors. These factors include the following. Human population expansion forced Przewalski's horses from much of their preferred natural habitat. Overhunting also occurred. Przewalski's horses used to be a source of meat for Mongolians. The introduction of firearms as a means of more effective hunting in general was another important factor. Przewalski's horses also declined as a result of Osman rebels hunting these horses in large numbers so that they could supply their armies with food. Severe winter droughts of 1944 and 1956 took the lives of many Przewalski's horses, and the harsh treatment of these animals when attempting to capture living examples of them from the wilds of Mongolia from 1898 to 1903 also led to their extinction in the wild. It is notable that Przewalski's horses differ from domestic horses in some significant ways. These include the following. Przewalski's horses are neither the ancestors nor descendants of domestic horses. Przewalski's horses have 66 chromosomes, while domestic horses have only 64. Przewalski's horses and domestic horses diverged from one another about 160,000 years ago, as per mitochondrial DNA evidence. Relative to body size, Przewalski's horses have a stockier build and shorter legs than most domestic horses. Przewalski's horses average 650 to 750 pounds, that's 300 to 370 kilograms, while domestic horses are on average larger. All Przewalski's horses are of a more uniform color than domestic horses. Przewalski's horses are also able to better withstand prolonged winter conditions by dropping their body temperature by 6 degrees Celsius, losing 20% of their body mass, lowering their heart rate to 50% of its non-winter beating rate, and eating only 1/3 of the amount of their usual diet. Domestic horses cannot do any of these. Let's consider the characteristics of Hustai National Park so we can better understand why it is a good habitat for Przewalski's horse and many other species of living organisms as well. The Mongolian government, as we noted earlier, declared Hustai National Park a specially protected area in 1993, 1 year after the initiation of the reintroduction project of Przewalski's horse to this park. Hustai National Park extends through the Khenti Mountains and includes the western edge of the Mongolian steppe at the boundaries of Altan Bulag, Argalant, and Bayant Khangai Sums of Tiv province. The park is about 100 kilometers from the capital city of Ulaanbaatar to the west. Hustai National Park covers 50,600 hectares of land, which is home to 459 species of vascular plants, 85 species of lichens, 90 species of moss, and 33 species of mushrooms. 44 species of mammals have been recorded, including red deer, Mongolian gazelle, roe deer, wild boar, wild sheep, ibex, Mongolian marmots, gray wolves, Eurasian lynx, Pallas cat, red fox, Corsac fox, and Eurasian badger. The 217 species of birds include golden eagle, lammergeier, great bustard, whooper swan, black stork, Daurian partridge, and little owl. There are 16 species of fish, 2 species of amphibians, and 385 species of insects. A new species of soil insect has been found in the Hustai and given the scientific name Epidemias hustaiensis. In 2002, the Man and Biosphere Reserves Organization of UNESCO certified Hustai National Park as a member of the World Biosphere Network of Natural Reserves. The Hustai National Park was enrolled as a member of the IUCN in 2007. The Hustai National Park is one of the best managed specially protected areas in Mongolia and was the first park to be managed by a non-governmental organization specializing in nature and environmental conservation. The park was managed by the Mongolian Association for the Conservation of Nature and the Environment during 1993 to 2003. A dedicated NGO, the Hustai National Park Trust, was established in 2003 and a signed contract with the Mongolian government which delegated the management of the Hustai National Park to the NGO. The Hustai National Park Trust conducts operations in the following activity areas as well. Number 1, conservation and protection of ecosystems and historical sites in the park. Number 2, reintroduction of the last species of wild horse, the Taki, and building up of a sustainable wild population, as we have already elaborated on. Number 3, organization of international training courses and research. Number 4, development of ecotourism, and number 5, development of the buffer zone of the Hustai National Park. The Trust has around 60 employees working in 5 units as follows: administration, training and research, protection, tourism, and buffer zone development. As I videoed him, this lone stallion moved towards me in an aggressive manner, no doubt trying to establish dominance. Appropriately, I discontinued videoing, looked the other way, and he left me alone. The name Przewalski's horse is a tribute to Nikolai Mikhailovich Przewalski, who was a Russian geographer of Polish origin and a renowned explorer of Central and East Asia. He contributed significantly to European knowledge of Central Asia and was the first European to describe Przewalski's horse as a new species. Let's turn our attention now to some of the other fauna that occur in Hustai National Park. Here we see the Himalayan vulture. It is feeding on the carcass of a Przewalski's horse, probably killed by a wolf attack. Nature is seldom wasteful, and the vulture feeding on the carcass is an effective means by which nutrients are recycled in the environment. The steppe eagle breeds from Romania east through the South Russian and Central Asian steppes to Mongolia. The steppe eagle's diet is largely fresh carrion of all kinds, but it will kill rodents and other small mammals up to the size of a hare and birds up to the size of partridges. It will also steal food from other raptors. Like other species, the steppe eagle has a crop in the throat, allowing it to store food for several hours before being moved to the stomach. Worldwide, the most common species of eagle is the golden eagle, and it is a commonly seen resident of Hustai National Park. The particular individual seen here had just been down by the river, and its feathers were a bit wet from bathing. Therefore, it could not take off. After ascending this hill, it will jump up on a rock, dry off its feathers, and then fly off. The mate of this Daurian Partridge female was nearby. They were both attending to the chick they were raising. The steppe rat snake is a medium-sized, non-venomous snake. It feeds on rodents, small birds and their eggs, as well as toads, frogs, and lizards. It is one of 2 snake species to occur in Hustai National Park, the other being the venomous Asian viper. The eastern water bat is seen here skimming the water at night and catching insects off the surface. This is a typical way that it feeds. Note that this footage was obtained on one of our camera traps. Let's turn our attention now to considering some of the other large herbivorous mammals that reside in Hustai National Park. The Mongolian gazelle mates from late November through January. It produces 1 young or occasionally twins in mid-June to July. The gazelle relies on its great speed to elude the predatory wolf. The red deer is the 4th largest deer species behind the moose, elk, and sambar deer. It is a ruminant, eating its food in 2 stages and having an even number of toes on each hoof, such as had by camels, goats, and cattle. It eats herbaceous plants in summer, browses on shrubs and trees in winter and spring, and feeds on various berries and mushrooms in the fall. The red deer mates September through October. Males make a loud whistling sound or roar during the rut to induce females, indicate location, and judge comparative strength. The gestation period is from 230 to 258 days. Females produce one calf in May through July. Twinning is very rare. On our camera traps at night, we captured 2 male red deer sparring with one another. Although generally more active nocturnally during the summer, we were fortunate to see a small herd of female and young Argali sheep one morning. This large mammalian herbivore mates in October. Its gestation period is about 150 days. It produces one young or occasionally twins in mid-April to May. Individuals are sexually mature at 2 to 3 years old. Marmots are found in all forms of steppe in western, central, and eastern Mongolia. Family groups consisting of a dominant pair and offspring of different ages live in a burrow, where they hibernate from October to March or April. They feed on various grasses, sedges, and herbs. Mating occurs 1 to 2 weeks after the spring emergence, and young are born 30 to 35 days later. Each year, a pair may produce between 5 and 7 young. Sexual maturity is reached in the 2nd or 3rd year. In the wild, marmots may live up to 10 years. The marmot here is seen and heard signaling that danger is nearby. The mostly nocturnal and crepuscular Tolai hare was seen out and about in the late morning this day. The long-tailed ground squirrel is active during the day. Adult females live with their young. Males and subadults live solitarily. They feed on green parts of grasses, sedges, and herbs, seeds, and insects such as grasshoppers. This species hibernates from the end of September to the end of April. It mates after spring emergence. Brandt's vole is the only truly diurnal species in its genus. It establishes large colonies. Brandt's vole primarily feeds on green plants, but its diet changes as per the seasons. It mostly eats roots in the spring. A food store, it mates from April through August. Gestation period is 19 to 21 days. It produces 3 to 4 litters of 2 to 13 young annually. The Jerboa is jokingly referred to as Mongolia's kangaroo. A species of rodent, it is nocturnal. Jerboas hibernate in the winter. They feed on seeds and leaves of shrubs and herbaceous plants, tubers and roots, and insects. Jerboas mate after spring emergence from hibernation. They produce 1 litter of 3 to 6 young annually. The Mongolian gerbil is active both diurnally and nocturnally. It lives in colonies with strong social bonds and builds complex burrows that can extend up to 5 feet deep. It sometimes uses abandoned burrows of Brandt's vole. It feeds on plants, the green parts in the summer, seeds and grains in the winter and spring. Something surprised this Mongolian gerbil and made it jump. Let's see that again in slow motion. It quickly gathered its wits and caught a moth. Watch that happen now. There it goes. Let's turn our attention now to some of the predators that occur in Hustai National Park. The steppe polecat is active nocturnally as well as in the late evening and early morning. This predator will enter the burrows of small mammals and eat them. It also eats reptiles and birds. The steppe polecat dens in abandoned burrows where it may store food. It mates from February through April. The gestation period is about 35 days. It produces 1 litter of up to 10 young in April to May every year. The marbled polecat is a predator that is most active during the morning and evening. Their eyesight is weak and they thus rely on their well-developed sense of smell. Vocalization is limited and consists of shrill alarm cries, grunts, and a submissive long shriek. Marbled polecats are solitary and move extensively through their quarter to half-mile home range. They generally only stay in a shelter once. When they encounter one another, they are usually aggressive. When alarmed, a marbled polecat will raise up its legs while arching its back and curling its tail over the back, with the long tail hair erect. It may also raise its head, bare its teeth, and give shrill, short hisses. If threatened, it can expel a foul-smelling secretion from enlarged anal glands under the tail. Marbled polecats are found in open desert, semi-desert, and semi-arid rocky areas, in upland valleys and low hill ranges, steppe country, and subtropical scrub forest. They avoid mountainous regions. Marbled polecats have been sighted in cultivated areas such as melon patches and vegetable fields. Marbled polecats are known to eat ground squirrels, Libyan girds, Armenian hamsters, voles, mole rats, house mice, and other rodents. They also eat small hares, birds, lizards, fish, frogs, snails, and insects, as well as fruit and grass. They are also recorded as taking small domestic poultry, such as chickens and pigeons, as well as stealing smoked meat and cheese. We consider this encounter with the marbled polecat to be a very rare experience. Indeed, our driver informed us that in all of his years of living in the Mongolian bush country, this was his first time to see this species. The Corsac fox, also known simply as a Corsac, is a medium-sized fox found in steppes, semi-deserts, and deserts in Central Asia, ranging into Mongolia and northeastern China. Since 2004, it has been officially classified as least concern by the IUCN, but populations fluctuate significantly and numbers can drop tenfold within a single year. It is also known as the steppe fox and sometimes referred to as the sand fox, but this terminology is confusing because two other species, the Tibetan sand fox and Ripple's fox, are also sometimes known by this name. The word Corsac is derived from the Russian name for the animal, Corsac. The Corsac fox is threatened by hunting for the fur trade. As an adaptation to the arid climate in which they live, Corsac foxes need little water to survive, obtaining most of the moisture they need from their food. Their diet consists mainly of insects and small rodents, such as voles, gerbils, jerboas, hamsters, and ground squirrels. They may also eat larger prey from time to time, including hares and pikas, and will scavenge for carrion and human refuse. Although predominantly carnivorous, they do occasionally eat fruit and other vegetation, especially when animal prey are scarce. Natural predators of Corsac foxes include wolves, eagles, buzzards, and eagle owls. Corsac foxes are nocturnal and nomadic hunters of the steppes. They do not have a defended territory and, unlike some foxes, will sometimes form packs. Because they cannot hunt in deep snow, they will either shelter in their dens during harsh winter or, in northern parts of their range, they may migrate up to 370 miles south in the winter. They have been reported to follow herds of local antelope, relying on them to compress the snow as they pass. Their prey is often buried in caches. Corsac foxes are excellent climbers, but are rather slow runners and could be caught easily by a dog. While they are reported to be nocturnal in the wild, in captivity they are very active during the day. This can be explained by increasing human disturbances, causing them to become active at night to avoid humans. Corsac foxes shelter in burrows from harsh weather and large predators. Although they can dig their own dens, these are generally shallow and they often take over the burrows of other animals, such as marmots, ground squirrels, or badgers. Dens may have several entrances, but are usually less than 3 feet deep. The burrow is shared between the social packs, with several dens and connecting holes. The Corsac fox mating season starts in January and ends in March. Males will initially fight for access to females, but eventually establish a monogamous bond and assist in the raising of their young. The mother initially creates a birthing den, which is sometimes shared with other pregnant females, but moves her young to new burrows several times after they are born. Typically, 2 to 6 young are born after a gestation period of 52 to 60 days, although cases of 10 kits being born in a single litter have been reported. Newborn kits weigh around 2.1 ounces and have fluffy light brown fur that turns yellowish as they age. And perhaps appropriately, our camera trap captured at night the top predator of Hustai National Park, the gray wolf. Gray wolves feed on a large variety of mammals, including the large herbivores that we have looked at previously. Even Przewalski's horse can fall prey to gray wolves. Gray wolves produce 6 to 8 pups a year in a den in May through June. Pups are weaned in 7 to 8 weeks and sexually mature at 2 to 3 years. And perhaps not surprisingly, our camera trap reveals that the same water hole used by wolves is also used by horses and other large herbivores of Hustai Park. These large animals are especially vulnerable to wolf attack at such times. All of those who love nature cannot help but applaud and encourage the conservation efforts that have restored Przewalski's horse to its wild habitat in Mongolia, Russia, and China. It is hoped that this species will continue to repopulate these areas such that future generations can enjoy seeing this magnificent wild horse. To find out how you can adopt a Przewalski's horse foal, visit www.hustai.mn. To get on board in Mongolia for conservation work with Przewalski's horse, contact Nora Livingston at the above email address.